I really don't know where to begin. So I guess I'll just start by saying that the worst thing that can happen when you sustain a TBI is that everyone leaves. I heard those words when I was at a conference, and the director of the Traumatic Brain Injury Association of Virginia was speaking. When she said those words, I felt the tears running down my face. I felt like she was speaking my truth. It's the first time I let myself realize that that was what happened. That's why I felt so alone. By that time, I had gotten the help that I needed and was on my way to finding out what was actually wrong with my brain. But before that, it had been a very, very hard struggle. On June 30th of 2013, I was halfway through nursing school. I was at home studying. My partner Nona had gone out of town to visit family. Middle of the day, I get a phone call. Frantic voice on the other end of the line. Couldn't understand what they were saying. The caller ID indicated that it was from my niece, Amanda. I thought she was telling me that Nona was dead. That's how bad the voice sounded. Not long after that, a calm voice came on the phone. It was Amanda telling me that they'd been in a terrible accident, that the car wasn't recognizable, and that was Nona on the phone trying to tell me what had happened, and that she was in an ambulance on the way to the hospital. I tried to get more information, but she couldn't tell me anything. She said, "You just need to get here. I have to go talk to the police." Click. Nothing else. I've got a long background in emergency services, so I didn't panic. The hospital they told me they were going to, I knew wasn't a trauma center. So I kind of was putting things together that maybe it's not that bad. I just need to get some stuff together and be prepared to bring Nona and her belongings home, because obviously the car wasn't going to be able to do that. So I was cleaning out the back of my car, had everything ready to go. Somewhere around quarter after the hour, I had hung up the phone from leaving a message for my sister, locked up the house, and I left the hatch on my Rogue, my Nissan Rogue, open. I'm not very tall, and when I shut the hatch, I brought it down directly on top of my head and knocked myself out cold. I don't know how long I was unconscious. I just know it was less than 37 minutes, because 37 minutes after I hung up the phone, I answered a call from my sister when she returned the message that I'd left for her. Sometime in that period, I was unconscious. I woke up. I got sick. It's a pretty big indication of a concussion. And using my 30 years of emergency services experience, I decided it was a good idea to drive to the hospital in Waynesboro to pick up Nona. I don't remember the conversation with my sister, but it went something like this, according to her. She said, "Are you okay?" I said, "I think I hit my head." She said, "You sound like you've been drinking." I said, "No, I think I hit my head." She said, "Should you be driving?" I said, "I'm not sure where I should look, but those bumpy things on each side of the road are telling me where I need to go, so I stay in the middle of the road." At that point, she said I needed to pull over, and she would come get me. I should have known that I was pretty badly hurt because I let my sister drive my car. I don't let anybody drive my car. So my sister came and got me, and she took me to the hospital where Nona was being treated. I wouldn't let them treat me, even though several people made comments about how I was acting, how my eyes looked, that kind of thing. I mentioned I was in nursing school, and I didn't go to school the next day, and that was unusual for me because I didn't miss time from school. I had a test that day, and that was Monday, and so on Tuesday I went to school to talk about making up that test and making up some clinical time. Apparently, in the phone calls I'd made in between, the nursing instructors decided that something was up. And when I got to school, they said, Melissa, you need to get checked out. Something is not right. And they decided, you're not going to take this test. You're not going to go to clinicals until you get checked out. Not because they were, worried about the test or the clinicals. They were concerned about me, which was, it felt good. I still wasn't convinced I needed to go to the hospital until about the fifth person said, what is up with your eyes? So I went to the ER. My CT was clear. The doctor said, your gaze is off. And that was about all he could say about my injury. He said, if you have any continued headaches, follow up with your doctor, go get seen by a neurologist. Went to the neurologist a week later. She said, you got a concussion. You just need to be patient. Take it easy. Well, my idea of taking it easy was I had vacation scheduled. That's taking it easy. I'm going to go on vacation. I went on vacation. I took surfing lessons. Took it easy. Fireworks on vacation. Thought I was going to die. Thought my head was going to explode. Went back to school in the fall. I didn't realize but my personality was changing. I didn't see the changes because I wasn't self-aware. I didn't realize that my speech was changing. My affect was changing. Everything about me was changing, and they weren't good changes. I was having these meltdowns. I would start crying at nothing. I would rage over nothing. And people started to leave my life. And I didn't understand why. I was raging mostly at the people who I was closest to. And I would feel horrible afterwards. And I didn't understand. I knew that I was not who I knew myself to be. And I knew that I didn't like that person. And I knew that everybody I turned to had already gotten so fed up that they didn't want to help. I tried to go back to the neurologist, and she said, you're just depressed. You need some antidepressants. It's not about hitting your head. You're fine. It's been long enough. You're over that. You just need some antidepressants. I didn't know what to do. I kept losing people in my life that I cared about. I didn't understand why they were walking away. I'm not used to that. I'm not used to being alone. I'm used to being surrounded by people who care about me. I'm used to being able to, when I feel like something's wrong, knowing who to go to find help. I couldn't find help. I didn't know where to turn. I felt so lonely and so afraid. And that's not a normal feeling for me. It's not a familiar feeling for me. I decided that I didn't have anything left to live for. I didn't have people to take care of, people who cared about me, people who wanted to be around me. I wasn't leaving my house because I couldn't handle the world. It was too much for me. So I started just staying at home. The only reason I left my home was to go to school. I started isolating. I couldn't listen to TV because it was just too much stimulation. I couldn't go places. I couldn't handle stores. I couldn't handle anything. So I decided that I just needed to relieve everyone of the burden of me, whoever me was, because I didn't know the person I'd become. I didn't know who this person was, and I didn't like this person. I felt helpless and weak and alone and afraid. And those are not good feelings to have. So I decided that I would try one more thing. I said, I'm not that I don't want to live, it's that I don't want to feel this pain. I don't want to be like this. So I got online and I found my way to the Brain Injury Association of Virginia. And I went to a meeting, a support group. And one of the things that happens when you have a brain injury is one where you're supposed to have continued speech, kind of like just then. You have pauses, and people think that that's a period, so it's their turn to talk. And that happened when I was introducing myself, and someone else who had a brain injury started talking. I was like, hey, I'm not finished talking. Well, he got upset, which happens when you have a brain injury, and I in turn got upset. And it didn't go so well, and I ended up leaving. And I don't remember what he said, but he said something to me as I was leaving, and I chucked a full bottle of water across the room. That's not like me, at least the me that I always knew. I thought that I had cut off my last hope for help. Instead of cutting off the last line of saving my life, I actually opened up a door, because the next day I got several calls and several emails saying, please come back. We want you here. We need you here. You have something to offer our group. So I went back the next month and I took my partner Nona with me. That particular month they set apart the folks with injuries and what they call the caregivers or the family members. And when she came out, she was crying and crying, and I didn't know what was wrong. I said, what's wrong? She said, I'm so sorry. She said, I thought you had been faking. That's why I've been teasing you. She said, you will watch the same episode of a TV show 5 times. We don't even need cable or a DVR anymore because you don't remember watching the show. And I'm like, why haven't you told me this? That is information I needed. I've been trying to explain to somebody who will listen that something is wrong. I could have used that as an example. I could have used you to back me up. And she said, I was the one in a head-on collision. You bumped your head. They didn't equal. And I didn't know why you were having so many problems. Through the Brain Injury Association, I got to the right kind of help. I got to the right kind of doctors. It wasn't easy, because trying to get an appointment with one of the few doctors that treats closed head injuries is very difficult. But I advocated for myself, and I fought, and I didn't give up, and I got in with the right doctor. And through the support groups, I found out that I wasn't alone. That there were other people who had had what appeared to be much worse injuries, who talked about taking a 6-week-long nap and waking up to this new life that they were total strangers in. They were having the same kinds of struggles that I was. And they also said that their friends, or who they thought were their friends, didn't stick around. And that's a really sad thing, because when you're in a place like that, when you have an injury or an illness, that's when you need your friends the most. I guess the takeaway from this is that no matter how hard things get and how far down you get, there's always something inside of you to draw on to keep going. Don't give up. Advocate for yourself. Find something out there to help you. Keep pushing. Keep talking until somebody listens. Keep having your voice heard until somebody takes notice. Don't throw away your chance at getting the help that you need. I'm not saying that I did everything perfect, but I'm sitting here today because I didn't give up. I'm still struggling. Most of the people who left didn't come back, but I found some new people, and some of the people that I never thought I would see, that I haven't seen for 20 years, have come back into my life, and those are my real friends. Those are the people I can count on. I had to mourn the loss of who I was, and I was at the doctor yesterday, and he told me, you have to accept the unacceptable. I said, do you realize that that doesn't even make sense? And what he was telling me was that I needed to accept that I am not going to heal anymore physically. I've come as far as I can come physically. What I need to accept is that my fight is to learn to let go of the idea of getting back to where I was pre-injury, and to be the best new me that I can. To make the best of who I am now. I talked to a good friend who's still here, and she said, Melissa, the essence of who you are is still there. And you have so much to offer. Use that. Build on that. Continue to fight. And that's what I want everyone to hear. Don't give up. Regardless of the mountains, hurdles, walls, whatever. Don't give up. Fight for yourself and have your voice heard, because you're worth it. I know I am. Thanks for listening.